Your story might be the very thing someone needs to hear in order to keep going. Hi, I'm Shara, and you're listening to Life Stories. Hi, friends. Happy Monday. It's actually Sunday when I'm recording. It's quiet in my house. My husband's gone playing golf, and my puppies are occupied. It's very quiet. It's nice. So this week, I have an interview with Jessica Clancy, who is the author of a book called The Quest for Family. And something funny happened the other day that I wanted to tell you. So we wanted to touch base on the phone before we started talking on the podcast. When I talk to someone, I want it to be genuine. So I don't like to rehearse anything. I mean, I have notes and they have ideas, but I don't like rehearsing our whole conversation before we talk. So I just wanted to chat for a minute, but we ended up talking for over an hour. And so it's going to be a great conversation. She's very easy to talk to, and I'm excited to talk to her about her book. But she said in our conversation, I really like your Texas accent. You should use that more. You should use that more when you're talking on your podcast. And I thought, I try really hard to not sound like I have an accent, which apparently I am not successful in, because clearly I do. You know, when I listened to some of my first episodes, I can tell that I was very careful and I spoke slowly, and I didn't want to sound like I have an East Texas accent, but I guess I can't help it. I know the more confident I have become, the faster I talk, and the faster I talk, I definitely have an accent. So I guess the only person I was fooling was myself, thinking that I didn't sound like I had an accent, but that's okay. You can tell me I sound like I'm from Texas, and I will be proud of it, because I don't ever want to live anywhere else. Texas is the best state. It just is. I did something today that made me think about how, we shouldn't look back at our past if we're looking back in regret, if we're looking back and just staying still. Do you know what I mean? Just where we get stuck and all we can think about is the decisions that we've made or the things that happened to us, or it's not good to be stuck in that. To move forward, you got to turn around. You got to keep going. You can't keep looking behind you. But sometimes it's okay to look back. If you're going to look back and see the progress that you've made, if you're going to look back and say, man, look where I was a year ago. Look where I was 5 years ago. I think it's great to do that. People who have battled addictions, people who have to take every day, one day at a time, making those steps of progress. I think it's good for them to look back and see how far. I mean, I know they do that. That's important to see your progress, because it motivates you to keep going and to keep working hard. I've mentioned this before. In 2021, I met with a life coach for 6 months. And at the end of our 6 months, some things happened that I was very excited about, and I wanted to tell her. So I thought about emailing her, but then I realized I couldn't email her every single time something great happened, because she would not want to get an email all the time. Or progress that I made or something that I knew she would be proud of. So I thought, well, I'll just write her letters, but I put them together in a book, and I just never printed it off. I had great intentions to print it off, and it's saved on my computer, and I haven't. And I'm going to do it this year. I really am going to do it later this year, but I have a reason for waiting. But what I wanted to talk about was I went through that book that I wrote her and letters that I wrote her, and there's some things that I learned about myself and it's just progress. My hope is that you will be encouraged to maybe look back and see how far you've come, because I bet it's farther than you think. One of the things that she taught me and we worked on was, number one, not apologizing for everything. Not everything is always my fault. Yes, I have made a lot of mistakes, and I have done some dumb things. But I used to be the person that apologized for everything, because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I didn't want to cause anybody any trouble. I didn't want to put anybody out. And so I would just apologize for things that are not my fault. And the day that we really talked about this a lot, at the end of our session, she said, "Oh, I think we went over." And I said, "I know, I'm so sorry." Her eyes got as big as saucers. What did you just say to me? I'm like, oh my gosh. I really am learning. I don't do it anymore. I don't think I do. My husband will have to tell me. I don't think I do it as much as I used to. Not everything is your fault. If you did something wrong, apologize for it. But not everything is your fault. So I have caught myself, since I met with her, in apologizing for something. Another thing that she taught me and we worked on was using my voice to speak up for myself, and not necessarily in defense. I mean, there are times when you need to defend yourself, but not even that. God created me to be me. I don't know how to be anybody else. And it would be a whole lot of work and a whole lot of wasted time for me to try to be someone I'm not. And so he put desires in my heart. He gave me ideas. He made me to be a creative person. And that's who he made me to be. And I don't have to apologize for that. I don't have to try to be somebody else. And it's okay for me to like the things that I like. Even if I'm the only person in the whole wide world that likes them, it's okay. It's okay for me to go to lunch with a bunch of people and everybody orders salad because they want to eat right and be healthy. And I want lasagna. I don't want a salad. It's okay for me to want. That's really a struggle I had one time. I really battled that. I know that sounds silly, but it's the truth. It's okay for me to like what I like. I don't have to like everything you like. And I'm happy to stand up for myself. I know those sound simple to people that have never struggled with this, but this is a real thing. And so I'm glad I've come as far as I have. Another thing that we worked on was, we have to be careful. First of all, I don't want to be known as a complainer, and I hope I haven't been. I hope people haven't seen me as that. And I know I've complained. I know I have. I can get that way when I get irritated when things are not going the way I would like. But sometimes when you complain about things, there are people around you who would love to have the things that you have. And that was an issue. And she pointed it out to me multiple times because it was something that I was having to deal with multiple times. My reaction and my response to certain people that I was having a hard time with. And I was complaining about things. And I didn't realize that there are people who would love to have some of the problems that I have. I said this the other day. I'd love to. I'm thankful for my messy house because it means I have a house to get messed up. I'm thankful, and I wasn't complaining about my house. I was complaining about relationships, and she just was pointing out the fact that you need to be careful when you're complaining. There are people around you who would love to have the things that you're complaining about, and so it's made me stop and think. It doesn't mean I don't ever complain, because I do, but it's made me stop and think before I say something around someone. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. You don't know how they're looking at you in your life, and who are you representing, and how are you presenting yourself. I hope I've made some sense today. I hope I've made you maybe stop and look back at the progress that you've made in your life, and I hope it encourages you today. Thanks for listening.